This is one of Charlie Kirk's greatest predictions.
Iran does have a conventional military. They are a proud and they are a big country. Possible case scenario is Iran says, okay, you humiliated us. You killed all of our leaders. We're going to go make this a regional mess and try to get as many people involved as possible. They're going to go after Americans. They're going to go after Saudis. They're going to go after everybody imaginable just to create a big mess and to try to draw the world into it.
So far, that's exactly what's happened. They've attacked Qatar, Bahrain, Dubai, Israel, pretty much everyone.
Because understand, the Iranian people are widely respected and not necessarily are always in sync with leadership.
A lot of them are not in sync with leadership, as we know through all the protests that happened in January and February, and as we know of a lot of the Iranians that are outside of the region.
But if and when the people of Iran feel like Persia is being defaced and humiliated and disrespected, we don't know where that is going to go. And that's my final reason why I am always skeptical of military intervention. And when a lot of the sometimes warmongering wing gets too excited, you don't know, actually. You need to have a lot of humility.
It is true. We don't necessarily know exactly where it's going. But from what we understand is that Iran right now are not the ones that are winning. Some Iranians are obviously happy outside of the country, but a lot of them are probably very mad inside of that country. So Charlie Kirk just was so good at calling things out. Hence one of the reasons why they wanted him gone. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk.
Most people think wars end when one side decides to stop fighting. But history shows something very different. Donald Trump has framed the conflict with Iran around a demand for complete capitulation, even unconditional surrender. And that raises a dangerous strategic question. What happens if Iran refuses? Because once a war escalates to regime-level stakes, the choice narrows fast. Let me illustrate this problem. This is a bobcat, also known as a wildcat here in Kentucky. They are about twice the size of a house cat. But here's the rule. Never grab one by the scruff of the neck because there's no way you're going to put it down without getting bloody. Right now, the United States may be facing the exact problem. If Iran refuses to quit, the options become much harder. First, escalation. More strikes on military infrastructure, leadership targets, and even attempts to cripple the Iranian state. Second, containment. A long regional conflict across the Middle East involving proxies like Hezbollah, militias in Iraq, and attacks on shipping. And third, negotiation after escalation. Wars often do not end when someone surrenders, but when both sides decide the cost is too high. The risk is that every step forward makes stepping back harder. Which brings me back to the Kentucky point of view. If you grab the wildcat, how do you let go without getting clawed? And that may become the defining strategic problem of Trump's war with Iran.
And this is an administration that doesn't have any plans, went into a war without any debate. So Secretary of State Marco Rubio, last Monday, over a week ago, went to Capitol Hill and he was asked, well, where's the imminent threat? There's no intelligence of an imminent threat. The Iranians were negotiating with the Omanis. The Omani foreign minister went on American television and said, the Iranians have agreed to everything that Trump wants. This was the day before Trump attacked and Israel attacked. And Rubio says, well, we were told that the Israelis were going to attack Iran, and once they attacked Iran, Iran would hit us, so we hit them first. That is what the Americans define as an imminent threat. A rather ridiculous answer. Trump just did this overnight with no discussion, no debate, no justification, and no exit plan. And now he's jumping around saying, I want unconditional surrender. Oh, wait, no, the war is over. I don't think they know what they're doing.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them.
President Trump, what have you heard about this bulletin that some law enforcement put out about a possible Iran revenge plot in California, where there would be some kind of a boat offshore launching drones towards the...
It's being investigated, but you have a lot of things happening, and all we can do is take them as they come. And The war itself is being prosecuted as well as anybody has ever seen. And this is other countries telling me too. Big countries, powerful countries, they said they've never seen anything like it.
First off, you guys, make sure you like this video, comments on this video, share this video, make sure you drop me a follow. Next, you guys, I'm going to talk about that video itself and everything, because here's the thing, you guys. Right now in the United States of America, this administration, they have ICE going around detaining undocumented migrants on a daily basis. They are detaining and deporting people with zero criminal records. And Donald Trump talks about on that video and everything that they know for a fact, they know the exact location. They have eyes on the sleeper cells that are currently here in the United States of America. But guess what? They're not doing anything. Why aren't they detaining those people? Why aren't they detaining those people? Because here's another thing, you guys. They have also been pushing the narrative about Joe Biden's border. He let that border open. They ended up coming through in the millions. So here's the thing, you guys. If an attack were to take place in California or anywhere in the United States of America, should Donald Trump and the Trump administration be charged with a crime because they knew exactly where these sleeper cells were located? Because in his own words, they have eyes on them right now. But they're not detaining them. They're not arresting them. They're not deporting them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Here's an update for you from the Don Lemon Show newsroom, an update on the war, okay? Remember the girls' school that was hit first couple of days of the war in Iran, 185 or so schoolgirls killed. Donald Trump said Iran did it. Well, there's reporting today an ongoing military investigation has determined that the United States is responsible for the deadly Tomahawk missile strike on the Iranian elementary school. And that is according to U.S. officials and others familiar with the preliminary findings. You cannot trust anything coming out of the mouths of any person in this administration. Just remember that. That is one of the most horrific incidents to happen in decades in modern war. Just remember that. When Donald Trump claims victory and pulls out of this war because of his bad polling numbers, because he's going to say everything is done, it's over, we did a great job.
So the White House just announced that Donald Trump launched strikes on Iran because of a feeling he had that they were going to attack us first. Facts don't care about your feelings, folks. Remember that.
Well, that's not the first time the president has said that he chose to launch Operation Epic Fury because he felt as though Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region first. Again, I addressed this in the last briefing. This was a feeling the president had.
Nice. I'm super glad that we're starting wars based on Trump's fifis. I actually relate to this. The other day, I had a feeling that my neighbor was going to come and attack me. So what I did was I went to his vehicle and I planted a car bomb. Like, imagine someone trying to use this as a defense in court. Like, I'm sorry I bombed a bunch of civilians, but I had a feeling that they were going to bomb me first. I'm pretty sure a judge wouldn't accept that defense, but of course we know our justice system isn't in the business of punishing elites. The excuses these guys are coming up with for this war are insane. It would almost be funny if, tons and tons of people weren't losing their lives because of it. Also, Iran was in the process of negotiating with the United States when Trump started bombing them. They were not going to attack us. They have never attacked us. And these people who rule us are idiots.
Breaking news. I couldn't wait to share this story with you. Donald Trump is calling on a black woman to help him get out of the mess he's created in Iran. That's right. Donald Trump, the man who has attacked every black person with expertise in his administration, who's taken rank away from black generals, saying they only achieved their rank by DEI, the same man who took black history books from the military libraries. Well, today, a CNN reporter saw Condoleezza Rice quietly entering the White House. If you're not old enough to remember, Condoleezza Rice was the national security advisor during the period of 9/11, the Iraq War, under George W. Bush. Now, she's not a Fox News host. She's not a social media influencer like most of the people in Trump's cabinet. She happens to have a PhD in political science and is considered a brilliant person when it comes to the understanding of foreign affairs and geopolitics. So all of Trump's influencers are not very helpful in this situation. So it turns out that he needed to connect to a black person with expertise, which just seemed to me the ultimate irony for all he's done to try to discredit people. And for those of you who might be stumbling on this video who think the war is going well in Iran, please take a look at another video I posted today. Colin Powell's chief of staff gives an eye-opening assessment of what the mainstream media or any media in the United States is not telling us. I think you'll be surprised. That's the video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
Did a U.S. Senator just say the quiet part about war out loud? Because a comment from Lindsey Graham is blowing up online right now. While talking about Iran, Graham said that when the current regime eventually falls, the United States could make a ton of money. And that single line has people furious, rightfully so. Critics say it perfectly captures what they believe has driven decades of U.S. foreign policy. Wars that cost lives while powerful interests focus on economic gain. Think about it. American troops are now risking their lives. Families are burying their sons and daughters. Entire regions are destabilized. And Lindsey Graham turns the conversation to profits. Surprise, surprise. Supporters of Graham argue that he was talking about economic opportunities, as well as trade if Iran ever had a different government. But critics hear something very different. They hear war being framed like a business opportunity. And that's why this moment is spreading everywhere online. Because it raises a much bigger question. Are U.S. wars really about security and democracy? Or are they sometimes about money and influence? One sentence, one senator. And this debate about American foreign policy isn't going away anytime soon. What do you think? Was Graham talking about rebuilding an economy? Or just saying the quiet part out loud? Share your thoughts in the comments section and follow me for more.
Iran said we closed the strait, now we going after the banks. This is the news update for March 11th. Iran said eye for an eye. Y'all attack my infrastructure, I'ma attack y'all's. So, last night there were a couple ships near the strait, so Iran attacked them, one of them being a ship from Thailand, and 3 of those people are still unaccounted for. And then Iran was like, if you want to live, stay away from the U.S. and the Israeli banks because those finna be our next targets. And then the Qatari foreign minister said that this is an illegal war. It has pushed the Arab states to no end. And there was a deal on the table just hours before the U.S. and Israel decided to attack Iran. And he says that it seems like force and violence was always going to be the option for the United States and Israel. And then the leader of Israel, mind you, he's a Trump ally, came out and said that the U.S. and Israel is violating international law with the war over in Iran. I said, oh, Donald Trump's friends are turning on him quickly. And finally, Iran is reporting that their new supreme leader is still alive, even though he's injured. I've seen some reports say that he has like some fractured and some broken bones, but other than that, he okay.
Lebanese government has done something very unusual. They have reached out to the United States and said, we can't control Hezbollah. That was supposed to be the plan, that the Lebanese armed forces were supposed to take over. Now Lebanon is saying they can't do it. So what does that mean for Israel? What does that mean for America? The IDF, as always, has a posture of existential defense, that they will fight until the threat is removed from their doorstep. That is not the American predicament. And yet the toll continues to grow, and the idea of how you get out, of what success means, is a very different question for America than it is for Israel. For Israel, it is when people are not trying to kill them, that's a good moment. But for America, what metric matters? The Pentagon now says 140 U.S. service members have been wounded. 8 are serious. They have life-threatening injuries. How many more are to come? How many have been injured and killed on the ground in Iran? How many of them are innocents? How many of them are connected to the regime? The burn rate of money matters. Why? Because most of our politics domestically right now is shaped by a domestic economic crisis, right? The U.S. spent nearly $6 billion on munitions in the first 48 hours alone. How much blood and treasure is justified and on what basis? We're now getting mixed messages about how long the war will last because the idea that America can just walk away, well, how would that be a win?
This clip right here should scare every single one of us. Look at the way he answers the question about, are you afraid of troops on the ground in Iran?
Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
As you can see, his quick reaction and his side smile tells me that they have a plan. He tells me that the plan that would logically would be my plan as well would be for you to come into the country and I will hit you with guerrilla warfare and asymmetrical warfare all day long. And they know, because I've seen in Iraq and Afghanistan, how we were not the best at handling that situation. Now, after 25 years of war, I would imagine a larger portion of the military is trained in this. The only problem is that when you go into somebody's country, you're not fighting a patriotic guy who joined because he was also going to get a GI Bill. You're fighting a guy who's fighting to survive, who's fighting to protect his front and backyard. Because suddenly, not suddenly, you became the invader. You became the enemy. It doesn't matter if you were against the Ayatollah or for the Ayatollah. It doesn't fucking matter. So the fight is a little bit different for them than it is for us. So this should freak us out a little bit and give us pause on what is coming. I'm Alex, this is my rant, and I'm out.
Who would be eligible and ineligible for the draft?
Very good question. All U.S. Men, that is citizens, non-citizens, even undocumented immigrants, are required by federal law to register with the Selective Service Administration under the age of 20, between ages 18 and 26. So if you're in that time frame, you are required by law to register with the Civil Service Administration.
Did you guys hear that?
Even undocumented immigrants.
So first off, you guys, make sure you like this video, comment on this video, share this video, make sure you drop me a follow. So with everything currently going on when it comes down to this conflict that the United States and Israel is in with Iran, a lot of people have been talking about, what if the United States tries to bring back the draft and everything? Because for those of you that don't know, when you end up turning 18, you have to apply for the selective services and everything, whether or not you are a United States citizen or an undocumented migrant. So that leads me off to my next point. Because of what is currently going on in the United States of America when it comes down to ICE, because there are even politicians that have called these people undesirable, that they should not be here. But at the same time and everything, you guys, if a world war actually were to arise, these undocumented migrants between the ages of 18 and 26 could potentially have to go off to war and die for a country that has deemed them undesirable. Let me know your thoughts over in the comments, because they have done this in the past as well, you guys. World War I, World War II, they have utilized the draft, and they have drafted undocumented migrants who ended up getting their citizenship after they ended up serving in the military for that war and everything. But still, if a person is willing to go off to war, die for this country that they are not a part of, let me know your thoughts in the comments.
The news that you've seen that Saudi Arabia said that they would help us in regime change operations is true. It's funny. Over the last couple of years, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, actually worked very hard to improve Saudi relations with Iran. But as it turns out, it was Mohammed bin Salman and Benjamin Netanyahu who went to Donald Trump and asked him to invade Iran or to attack Iran. So I'm not sure what kind of game MBS is playing. It's a dangerous one. The goal is indeed regime change. Donald Trump told us to our faces a couple of nights ago, the goal is regime change. But the United States is very, very bad at regime change operations. I've long said, It's easy to invade a country. It's easy to overthrow a government. It is very, very difficult to get out. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years. We were in Iraq for 19 years.
I am one of those people that believe Iran cannot win a war against the United States. Walk with me while I explain why. Number one, under a Trump administration, Iran cannot win a war against us because Donald Trump is willing to use those nuclear weapons. Whether you like it or not, no matter how you slice it, no matter how you put it, whether you think it's fair or not, Trump is willing to use those nuclear weapons. And personally, Trump strikes me as the type of person who is willing to use them just to say that he was able to, just to say that he did it for bragging rights and no other reason. Now, I can concede that the United States lost the Iraq, the Afghanistan, and the Vietnam War. But I think it's important to keep in mind that the United States put boots in the ground in someone else's land. And those people in that land understood the geography, they understood the natural landscape, they understood the natural resources, and they understood their own culture. And the people in those lands used their land against the United States because the United States was not fully prepared to go invade somebody else's land because they didn't understand the geography and they didn't understand the people. So unless the United States decides to put boots on the ground in Iran, I don't see how Iran can successfully win a war against us. Now, implicating the global economy and crashing the stock market may harm us, right? And it may do some damage. But when we're talking military against military, Iran cannot win that fight. Also, I'm not a military expert, never been in the military, don't know nothing about the military. So if you are a military expert and you would like to leave some commentary, please leave it in the comments because I would love to read it.
The Iranians warned in advance that if you attack us, this is going to be a regional war. And there are many people who are analyzing differently. The Iranians, of course, then said, we are going to hit all your bases, whether they are in Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, or Qatar, we are going to hit them. And they have, with the consequence that the value chain or the supply chain in the world has now been disrupted in a manner that was not anticipated. And I've listened to the arguments by the countries that have been hit at the UN General Security Council, saying that this is indiscriminate. But one can debate. If you lend yourself to be used by my enemy, are you not my enemy? And this is what the Iranians are saying.
Behind me is the biggest American Air Force base anywhere in the world outside of the US, and it's currently playing a major role in the war against Iran. You on like heightened protocol at the moment?
A little bit.
Yeah?
More than usual.
Okay.
Yeah, because of everything.
Fair enough. Is that like since the past couple of days?
It's been like past month.
The past month?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Wenn sich irgendwas verändert, wir merken das an Geräuschveränderungen, an weniger oder mehr Flugbetrieb. Und es war schon so, dass vor allen Dingen viel nachts passiert ist. Die letzten Tage haben wir gesagt, also irgendwas ändert sich. Vermutlich geht es irgendwann jetzt los.
It would be a pretty heavy lift because the United States has been based in Germany, since the end of World War II. We have many critical facilities, including the headquarters of U.S. European Command. Well, I would think that if I were Iranian and I were planning a strike, Ramstein would not be in my top 10 list because it's just so difficult to reach. And it's so far highly likely to have been taken down well before that.
So Iranian hackers are threatening to hack the credit bureaus in the United States and erase everyone in the United States' credit card debt and give everybody an 800 credit score. So I don't know, as an American, I'm going to call your bluff and I'm going to say, do it. Do it. I double dog dare you Do it.
On my beautiful lunchtime beach walk, I got a notification that Iran is considering launching drones onto the west coast of the United States. So, a message to the new supreme leader of Iran. If you see this right here, which is in close proximity to where I live, this is not an oil refinery. It's definitely not one of the nation's largest. It's definitely Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So, if you're considering where to strike, just know that's a chocolate factory.
It's a crock of doo-doo. You know, we have no business over there. Stay here. We have nothing to do with that.
What are you worried about?
Getting blown up. Getting blown up, that's it. I hope I live.
I just feel like any war is unnecessary. I don't really care about the gas prices. It's just the loss of life. I feel that our country, our soldiers should not be in war, especially during these times with any country, because it affects us here at home. And people overseas are dying for nothing. Are you scared your children might be deployed? Yes, absolutely. I am. I'm terrified of it. So, you know, it's like me telling my kids, you can't tell them come home because their body can come home. We always say come home alive. Do you think the administration, Donald Trump, were thinking about the impact it would have on American businesses when they went into this?
I think it's hard to say. Whether I disagree or agree with what they did, I think it was something that, he had to do what he had to do, in my opinion.
Yes, it's most definitely having an impact on gas prices. I think news yesterday stated it went up 23 cents since last week. So we're feeling the effect of all the little people. Not the big people, the little people. We're the one who matters. We're the one who feel it. It hurts us. The big people, it doesn't bother them.
And how do you feel generally about this war?
It's a crock of doo-doo. We have no business over there. Stay here. We have nothing to do with that. But yet we're trying to be policemen of the world and meddling in other countries' business, which should not be the case.
You ain't got to tell me twice, Iran. Huh? Iran, you ain't got to tell me twice. Iran, apparently, done let the FBI hear them talking about us. And they said that they might be working on something to hit Cali. Now, I ain't the smartest tool in the tool shed, now the sharpest. But I know damn well they ain't just telling all the business like that. Something fishy going on. Sidebar to my people in the tri-state. I ain't buying none of it. Head on the swivel with my left side on the chisel. Not buying none of it. Oh, they said they gonna hit over there? We've been burnt once already. Now, tri-state people, be ready. Be ready. Hey, listen, I'm calling up the cuzzos in Atlanta, seeing if niggas got room. I ain't got time. Get some cold fried chicken and a cooler full of cold Fagos and oatmeal cream pies in the third row of the goddamn caravan. Calling my name. Yeah, road trip. I digress. Now, they said they're going to be sending in drones and stuff like that. Unmanned air stuff, okay? I can't say everything on here. But what I will say is this, y'all. Be careful. If you're on that West Coast, be careful. Watch what you do. Don't be out here in public, and make sure you got emergency bags packed. Seriously. All seriousness. I'm dead up right now. Make sure that you got your phones on. All that D&D. This is not the time. Pay attention to what's going on, y'all. Okay? I'm just here to bring y'all the news. Pay attention, please. And not just California. Anywhere over there. Okay? I'm just here to bring y'all the news. I'm just a messenger.
Will the U.S. launch a ground invasion? So right now, the United States and Israel are primarily focused on an air war, striking Iran from a distance. In the past, we would call this siege warfare. And as long as it remains an air war, the United States can choose to de-escalate and withdraw from the Middle East. They would lose this war, but the loss would not be catastrophic. Whereas if they choose to launch a ground invasion, it would escalate very quickly and they would be trapped in Iran for the next 5 to 10 years. It would be a catastrophe whether or not they win or lose. Because in order to fight a ground war, the United States would have to institute a national draft where young men as young as 18, will be forced to join the army and be sent to fight in Iran, okay? So that's the first big question for us. Will the United States send in ground troops? Remember, there's the idea of mission creep, where maybe in the beginning you're like, I'll send out 1,000 troops to do a small mission. But then it doesn't go well, so you send in 2,000, okay? It slowly creeps up. It's what we call mission creep. And that's how the United States enrolled itself in Vietnam. All right, so that's the first big question. Second big question is, will nukes be used? There's a lot of concern online that Israel is preparing a nuclear strike on Iran because they really don't like how the war is going, and they want to reclaim the initiative. Nukes are a taboo in geopolitics. The Americans used them at the end of World War II, and no one's used them ever since. If Israel were to use tactical nuclear weapons, they would break this universal taboo, and we might find ourselves in a nuclear apocalypse, okay?
So guys, do you think that Iran is a threat to the United States of America? I just want you to sit down and just think about this question. Is it really a threat to the United States, or is it that the danger is just being over-exaggerated? So right now, as I speak, if you actually are interested in world news, world reaction videos, you'll notice that politicians, analysts, and just normal people are talking about this very topic that you are discussing today. So, of course, some people believe that, or are actually saying that, Iran's nuclear program and regional influence in general makes it a very serious threat. That's how they believe. When you talk about nuclear weapons, it's one of the most feared weapons in this world. Nuclear is something that you cannot really play with, because it's something that if released, it is going to affect us or anybody, depending on where it has been released. It's going to affect people for generations and generations of years to come ahead from the moment that the nuclear weapon was released. So according to some in this space, they are saying that the nuclear program, for real, it's a very serious threat, which for me, I also believe so. Of course, some people on the other side are saying that this situation between America and Iran is very, very complicated. They don't even understand what is happening, because things to do with politics, honestly speaking, they are very complicated to understand, and that is why it is very important that we always listen to what other people are saying, and then now we come and talk about what we think, or I also do my analysis, and then on your end, you comment down below in the comment section, so that you may get to understand everything, guys, because how I understand, or how I understood these clips that you just played, is not the same as the way you understood, and it's not the same as another person will understand. And that is why it's very, very important that we do engage in these videos. So if you look at the background story of why are people talking so much about Iran at the moment, you will notice that tensions between the United States of America and Iran have been existing for decades of years, for decades actually, for so many years. If you go back to the 1980s, you'll actually get to hear about stories about Iran and United States of America. If you talk about 2000s, if you talk about just recently, you'll get to hear the stories. But of course, this issue right now has been extremely intensified because of the Iran's nuclear program, I can tell you. And I foresee this issue, the conflict, going also to North Korea, because North Korea, is it North Korea or South North Korea? because in North Korea they are those people are suppressed actually. You can clearly see from videos on YouTube. I mean, of YouTubers who have gone there. They only watch one news station that is controlled. Their telephones are controlled. They are being watched. I mean, those people are very backward in when it comes to technology and everything. It's controlled. Like their government controls what they see, what they don't see. I mean, it's not a free world, and I foresee the Americans are going there, the government of America. I don't know which regime it will be, but yeah, because that guy for several years he has been told to stop these nuclear programs, but he has always been boasting about owning, creating, and telling the West that there is nothing that you can do to us, just leave us alone. And North Korea, if you see that country, it's also one of the most sanctioned country. So if you have actually listened to the entire clips here, you will see that Iran, on the other side, has enriched uranium up to about 60% purity, which is much closer to the level that is required for nuclear weapons, and that is a very big danger. And yeah, that is why some people believe that all this issue poses a very serious threat to just not Americans but everybody in the world. So the particular issue of uranium being put in such a way that it has been enriched up to 60% uranium purity, I mean, it has in real sense alarmed many countries, especially Israel and Saudi Arabia. These two countries, I can tell you that they see Iran as the biggest regional rival. I don't know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments section. So when the president of the United States of America withdrew the United States from Iran nuclear deal in the year 2018, tensions increased even more. But of course, everyone agrees that how serious the threat really is matters a lot. So back to our question: is Iran a real? Is it posing a real threat to the Americans or to the United States of America? So some will be like, yes, Iran is a real threat. Others will be like, no. And if you look at those who are actually like supporting that, yeah, they believe Iran is a threat, is not just a threat, but a real threat, they view Iran, or they say that Iran poses dangers in several or many ways. Number one, they have nuclear weapons, and for so many years, Iran has actually stockpiles of enriched uranium that could actually be used to build nuclear weapons if they're going to be like refined further or more. And on that case, nobody really wants, presence of nuclear weapons, as they are very dangerous. Again, if you look at the nuclear weapons, the Iran government has developed the weapons, and they could possibly use this, or they could kind of change the balance of power in the Middle East because of the possession of these weapons, and that is not going to be good in the Middle East, because remember, we have so many of them that are democratically and elected. Some are independent. I mean, these countries are very stable, but if we have one of them that have or develop nuclear weapons, then that poses a very dangerous when it comes to peace, when it comes to stability of the region in the Middle East. And I think that's why people believe that they are a real threat. So if you look at regional influence again, Iran most of the time has been okay. This is in the media. You can go verify there. They believe that, there is a belief that Iran has always supported armed groups across the region. And that is why, when you see Americans fighting in Lebanon, if you see them fighting in Gaza, if you see them fighting in Iraq, you probably know that, the militias, they're being supported by the Iran. So that has always been in the news, guys. I don't know what you think about that. But of course, others will be like, no, Iran is just like a project of power. And, they have been really, really planning themselves well when it comes to their management, their plan. I was really shocked that they don't even have a president. They have a supreme leader. Like, it has a very, very long ranks. By the time you go like to the top there, you have gone through a lot. Most countries, they just end at the presidency level, like is the commander of armed forces, and say that. So, my good people, so if you look at what the Americans are looking for in this particular conflicts, they just want like stability. They want the oil, like nothing. So they act as the peace and the policy makers. So in this case, I would say that Iran is a major strategic threat, and others are saying that this statement that Iran is a threat is being overstated, or it's just like, you're becoming too much on that. So for them, they are disagreeing in short, and they believe that, the danger is being exaggerated for political reasons. And on the nuclear programs, they are like, that is something that has never posed any danger on anyone, and people have always been very, very peaceful. And they insist that these nuclear programs is meant for energy and scientific purposes, and not weapons, as it is being announced and talked about there. So if you try to listen to these people that are talking, they believe that the analysts, they are trying to gain more popularity just by, they're using the Iran story to gain that popularity. And at the end of the day, they're not going to get anything. So in other words, people fear retaliation. And I don't know what you think about that, because at the moment you will see that Americans are so they are in fear, because remember, there was a warning that there could be drone attacks in California. You listened in the clips here, so you will leave everyone not being at peace. Anyway, I don't know what you think about that. People are divided on this issue. Honestly, from day one, they have been divided about it. And many Americans, as you have already seen, they are not united on this. Some are supporting, some are not supporting. You will even see like some Iranian Americans, they'll be like, we're born and raised here, but we want that regime to be, finished. We want another new regime, a regime that will give us freedom and not suppress us. So according to recent polls in these online media spaces, so many Americans are split on this particular issue. And many people believe that, yeah, Iran could be an enemy, but, peace prevails. So they prefer diplomacy instead of war, which is very, very true. I hope these leaders come together, they talk and iron out issues rather than, putting the normal civilians in a very, very bad state. So I don't know what you think about this particular video. I don't know what you think about what these people are saying. Kindly comment. So I don't know how should the world actually deal with this threat if in case it's there. And I don't know, do you think that countries should focus on diplomacy and nuclear agreements, or should they just rely on military pressure and sanctions? Tell me. Thank you so much, and I appreciate if you watched up to this point. If you think that Iran is a serious threat to the United States of America, let me know in the comment section below. So I'll see you in the next video.